So there is no such thing as a air quote correct and incorrect way to speak. All all spoken languages are valid. All spoken languages are systems in their own right. So, when people make these dichotomies, proper, improper, correct, incorrect, it shows that they don't understand the way that language actually works. All dialects are valid, patterned language systems with dignity and integrity. And socially constructed prescriptivist grammar tells speakers what they should do to be accepted by a mainstream that has what I think is a pretty haughty expectation that all cultural groups speak like they do. I mean, it really takes a massive act of authority and power to say our variety is the standard variety that everyone else should adopt. A separate but unequal approach to language variation is linguistic discrimination. Full stop. Separate but equal is not equal. So to tell people that their language is fine for home, fine for their own community, but not fine for institutions, that is linguistic and cultural segregation.
And furthermore, everything these students wrote was graded based on their demonstration of academic diction, a term of grading practices which I believe echoes white language normativity. I believe we need to develop the courage to call it what it is. Judging students for formality alone is actually a judgment of how white students write. Our students are not writing for academic journals in our classes. Their papers are not job interview documents. So why are we rejecting their linguistic practices? Why do we feel obligated to simulate a practice from a context that is not our classroom? Because teachers did it to us when we were students? This is an appeal to linguistic justice.
Students will sit there, or students who are going to be teachers will sit there and say, well, aren't I responsible for making sure that these students can write to the audience that they'll have after me? And I think Asante Young gives a very good response to that, that just because the next audience is going to have racist perspectives on language, then it doesn't mean that we necessarily need to adopt those same practices. I will say, add to that, and I'm going to call Cole and myself out on this, because scholars like Asante Young would sit there and say, that's racist, because the acknowledgement of the privilege of standard academic English is perpetuating its privilege. So these errors are actually evidence that students are trying to learn. And if we as instructors penalize our students for trying to learn that way, then we are discouraging them from learning the target language, or in this case, academic English.